So I put together a video of the last 3 weeks of treasure hunting, metal detecting that me and my twin brother did in one particular area. We had a tremendous amount of success here, and I'm going to show you some clips and videos of that success. At the end of that, I'm going to show you our grand totals and a quick estimation of possibly the total value we pulled out of one area. In addition to that, I wanted to give you some of the tips that we use to become so efficient at pulling out targets. We hope you enjoy this video, and we hope that you find these 5 particular tips useful. Now, as we go through all this gold and silver and coins and jewelry, all of this that we found really started off in a spot that I frequent. I've been going there for at least 15 to 20 years. It's a common traffic area. It has a good amount of history. It was a very popular place to visit back in the 50s and 60s. This is not the ocean, this is the bay. And because of this, tremendous amounts of coins and jewelry have been collecting in this area for decades. But the stuff gets collected deep out in the water, and only until a big storm, which we didn't really get a storm here, we had a storm off the coast, that sent in very, very high tides, and it created a perfect wash of dumping what was out in the water, actually in the sand in the water. It was able to pick up all this stuff and dump it on the whole beach line. And I knew that by one day I was there and I was just picking up quarters after quarters after quarters. And it doesn't normally make sense for there to be that many of one type of coin in one area. So these were heavier targets that were being tossed back up on the beach. Okay, tip number 1 is slowing down your swing. Typically, we're aggressive, we want to get things done quickly, and in an effort to cover more ground, we move too fast. That's with our feet moving too fast, and the swing back and forth is too fast. We need to improve our target rate recovery, and that is the rate of recovery of targets that definitely are in the sand or the dirt right then and there at your spot. What we have here is a comparison to high-frequency radio waves. Now, the detectorist is moving his detector at the same rate of speed on both the top wave and the bottom wave. But on the bottom wave, he is walking too fast. And you can see where the X's are. He is missing all those targets because of the distance between swings, which you can see indicated by the distance between waves. Take note, if you decide to move your detector faster so that you can keep up with the faster walking speed, detectors do not do well moving fast side to side. In fact, they will miss signals. They like a much slower swing. Slower and constant. Number 2 is keeping the coil level to the ground and as close as you can get it to the ground. This reminds me of a gentleman the other day who came up to me and introduced himself, a fellow detectorist, really nice guy. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was really in a hot spot in the water, I would have chased after him, because as he walked away and I saw him from a distance, he was moving his detector in a U-shaped pattern, which means he was getting targets that might have been in a line directly in front of him, but nothing to the right and nothing to the left. And that's going to grossly create an inefficient target recovery or target rate of recovery. Keep that coil low. You should almost see a sweeping pattern on the sand because that's how low your coil is, and you're moving the sand side to side. Here's another quick helpful tip. I love to leave the scooper of mine dragging behind so I can see the line of what I've already detected. That will help me not to repeat areas I've already detected. Well, this one would just seem to make a lot of sense, but it has a big scientific background to it. You have to rest before fatigue starts to set in, or that typical burning sensation when a muscle is fatiguing. These muscles involved in detecting around the shoulder capsule all are pretty much strength-related muscles. They don't have a high capacity of endurance. This means that they're not really meant to last that long. So as overuse-related issues come in, inflammation occurs, the last thing you want is a shoulder injury because you will no longer be swinging that detector. Generally speaking, if you are finding a lot of targets, that's enough of a break for that swinging arm to rest. But if you're not, it makes a huge difference just to stop and rest the arm for a minute or so to give it a second to recover. As I was saying before, unfortunately, the shoulder muscles involved in the swing don't have a high endurance capacity, but the abdominal muscles do. So what you'll see here in number 3 in the bottom, the core has an endurance factor. So if you can maintain a tight core, which is basically just holding some tension in your belly, that will actually help to prevent the shoulder from fatiguing sooner. I'm not sure I ever really understood why people, when they're beach detecting and they have a long handle scoop, do they bother to bring their pinpointer to drop down to a knee, bend over with really bad posture, and then try to find the signal while still down on the ground? Use that scooper. Scoop up as much as you can, shake it out, and as you can see here, I never had to bend over to pick up that signal. You can't do too much excessive bending. As the shoulders are going to fatigue when you do a lot of swinging, the lower back will fatigue doing too much bending. Number 4 is a simple one. Record, chart where your hot spots were in the past. You can almost guarantee that in the future, these will still be hot spots. Coins like to collect in certain areas, especially with the incoming tides and the wash. Other areas that you can see where you've pinpointed a certain structure, remember those spots are. It's been enough times where I've actually been completely surprised that I found more stuff in an area I thought I cleaned up. And number 5, be prepared. It's okay if you look absolutely ridiculous and funny and silly, carrying around as much stuff as you can attach to yourself. But if any one of those things become absolutely necessary that day, you're going to be glad you have it on you. Well, this one may sound comical, but this one, I have to make sure I go to the bathroom before I go detecting. The last thing you want is to have the urge and not have one of these guys there for you. That could be a day ender, especially if you had to walk out far to your detecting spot. You don't want to have to come all the way back home once you're out there. So I always make sure I go before I go. Bring duct tape with you. I'm not sure why, but we always need duct tape. Either make sure your battery is charged, especially the night before, always go with a full charge, or make sure you carry extra batteries with you. I like to leave a good headlamp in the car at all times, so if my detecting day is going really well and it was close to sundown and starting to get dark and I need that headlamp, you're going to wish it was there. This one I find absolutely hysterical because I have managed to break this part on every one of the 3 main detectors I've ever bought. That is the arm guard at the top of the detector that all of them have, which really allows you to swing the detector side to side. If you've ever broke this piece and now you're trying to use it without that, it's almost impossible to use. So maybe for me, this would be a piece that I've already bought as an extra to have just in case. And finally, not only should you stay hydrated, but you should have water with you. One of the primary factors of early fatigue is dehydration. You don't want to get out there on a long detecting trip and start to feel dehydrated without having any water there to rehydrate with.